Hello, good morning. This is Vlog entry 102 and currently it is 9 a.m. CST. So for the past couple of days, I had been kind of scattered, but I got everything for my new job that I have, except for one thing, which is my social security card. I had to actually apply for a request for it, so they're going to be mailing it to me in the next couple of business days, or 7 to 14 business days, which I did like a few days ago. So that means it's going to come in around early June, and that's when I'm expected to start working. I don't know. I feel like I may actually just. I think I'm gonna kind of feel it out and see how the conversation position is like, and I'm gonna have some guy with me for a week that's showing me where to go and how to do everything, and obviously it's, again, like, it's just a very simple job, but it's nice because I get to be in my head, and maybe I think I may be working with another person. I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but we'll see. I didn't ask for all the details. And I did remember, like, in one of my earlier videos, I said I would be bored doing something like groundskeeping and everything like that. Groundskeeping would be boring because, like, you're on a machine, like I said before, you're on a machine and you're just moving around, cutting grass or whatever, and maybe doing like weed whacking, getting a weed whacker and getting the smaller, finer details and whatnot. But you're not really engaging with the public. Whereas this job is it's like a park attendant position against the lakefront. So you are engaging with the public, and you're just maintaining the facilities, and you're on a golf cart, which is cool. I like golf carts. So I think it's pretty nice for a summer job. I aside from that, I have my jobs finally lining up for the summer. I was kind of like looking at my combinatorics book, and I was kind of cross comparing different references between this applied combinatorics book. There's another book from Bona, and then there's another one from Van Lint. I don't know, those were from like the 1900s when combinatorics was really starting to progress into like graph theory and all that and all this other stuff. And I was just thinking, I was like, okay, I don't want to be like I was in the past. I want to be a little bit more rigid about how I learn things instead of just like doing things because I'm interested in it. I'm still in this realm of mathematics that's interesting to me, but when I was in school, I wasn't rigid. I think that's one of the reasons why I decided I kind of fell off the tracks, was because of the fact that I didn't really schedule things. I just wasn't rigid. Like I learned things because I felt like learning them, and I wanted to prove something because I felt like proving it, but I didn't go out into like the bigger picture of that particular field. But I find combinatorics to be interesting. So I would like to not fall off the rails again and be a little bit more rigid about how I decide to approach the field. And I decided to look at multiple references and to see how they structure their books and whatnot. And it seems like for most of them, there was one book from was it Van Lint? Or was it Bono? I think it was Van Lint. Let me double check here. I think it was Van Lint. Yeah, Lint. His is very different in comparison to all of the other ones. At least from the other sources that I was reading, according to Reddit, they said Bono and Van Lint are great sources for combinatorics, and nobody mentions Alan Tucker. But Alan Tucker happened to be the book that I found in the library. So I couldn't find Bono and Van Lint, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to do some more research on that. I may actually just start... I may use a library sometimes, but I also may use other sources. Like, one of those like used books areas. I mean, this is a city. I should probably... maybe I'll be able to find it. I don't know. And if not, then I'll probably just go on eBay and look for a used book, and then... because these books are, they're heavy. It may take more than a month or two for me to go through it. So unfortunately, I can't just, rent a book. I mean, I can extend it for a while if I wanted to, because I'm projecting at least the underpinnings of combinatorics. I mean, you should account for like how long it takes for any student, the average student, to go through introduction to combinatorics kind of thing. And it takes about, I'd assume, 3 months or so, which is like your standard curriculum. So I'm just going to assume that, and I'll extend having Alan Tucker, and then if I can't find the others, I think I want the physical copies. I was looking at the Internet Archive. The only one that I can't find on the Internet Archive as of now is Venlin. Like I said, Bona actually has her own. Bona's work is really close to the book that I have, which is Alan Tucker. Bona's is not applied though, so I think she goes more into like proving these core concepts for combinatorics. What I would like is having, since I can't get Van Lin on Internet Archive, I guess I could check the PDF version. I kind of like having the physical books, so I just want to study the overall structure of how these people approach it, so I won't go in blind, right? And I mean, it's pretty obvious. You usually start with mathematical induction because mathematical induction is the primary tool in which they prove most of these concepts. I mean, they use mathematical induction for the binomial theorem. They use it for proving the multinomial theorem. They use it for the pigeon. I think they may even use it and for other concepts. And they go into the pigeonhole principle. And my understanding the algorithm for mathematical induction is up there. The thing is, like, when you think about proving something, you may have the algorithm in your head, but sometimes you have to be a little bit creative sometimes, and I'm trying to kind of rewire my brain into. I haven't used my creative side of my brain in a while, and you do have to be creative for a lot of these proofs. One of the proofs I did was for Gauss's summation, for Gauss's summation, I actually I forgot what I did. The thing is, like in mathematical induction, essentially mathematical induction is where you have a base case and you prove the base case. So like in Gauss's formula, n times n plus 1 over 2 is equal to the sum of I from I equals 0 to some n, but then for the base case it's going to be n is equal to 0. So you look at the base case for 0, and then if you look at n times n is 2, 0 times 0, which is 0, and it goes to 0, so you get the base case, which is proven and correct. And then once you do that, you actually just assume that you assume n for all cases of n is correct. So therefore, and then you say if it's an if-then kind of logical construction of what I mean. Like, it's kind of cool. I actually don't. It's seen as like a chain almost. Like once you prove one, the base case, it creates kind of like an extrapolation out towards the whole domain of n. So then you're proving for all n once you prove the base case, and then for some n, you assume that n is correct, and then you can say then n plus 1 must be true as well. And then once you prove that if then, it creates like this logical chain throughout the whole domain of n, which isn't just the natural numbers. And that's basically what mathematical induction is. Which is cool. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because you prove the base case, and once you prove the base case, then you know that's true, and then you use an n. Then you assume that n for some n is, so that if then, I don't know how to explain it well, but it makes sense in my head. I don't know. I think I was writing the intuition behind it because I like thinking about things intuitively in mathematics, because it really it gives like a solid foundation to work off of, right? And I think, in high school math and even in college, they don't really talk about the intuition. They just kind of spew out information. They expect you to just understand it, not just understand it, but just have faith in these equations, and then linking those equations to other equations to create more structure, I guess. What was I thinking about? Oh no, I was just looking at like what I wrote about mathematical induction. I guess I was just writing as a common proof technique that you start off with a base case and it creates this like logical structure, this chain structure. I don't know. I think of it as a chain, like a connection point. I don't know. It's just how I think of it. And then I was looking at there's a nice visual proof of the summation of I squared. When I say the summation of I squared, I've already talked about it. I don't feel like extrapolating out or specifying summation. But yeah, they have a nice visual proof, and it's a three-dimensional proof because when you look at the one-dimensional proof for the case being the power being 1, which is a Gauss's summation, that's two-dimensional. So then you look at it in the three-dimensional perspective for that, and then you have to look at the four-dimensional perspective for when the power is 3, and so on and so on. It's an n+1 dimensional case for visual processing. Not n+1, but I guess anyways, a power +1 of whatever you're dealing with. I guess people also use Pascal's triangle for that, which is interesting. I guess it is common in combinatorics. Pascal's triangle is very important. Yeah, I don't know. I had to look at Pascal's triangle. I remember looking at Pascal's triangle in calculus because we were proving. Well, I mean, people like using Pascal's triangle for the derivation of x to the power of n. The derivation of the derivative of x to the power of n. I actually did a video on that, and I turned it into a power series, and then it just ended up being a combinatorial problem, which makes sense. Yeah. Well, sort of a combinatorial problem. You have to look at it anyways. Like, I don't feel like it's kind of it's not like, once you understand combinatorics, I understand it sort of. It was never like understand the basics of combinatorics. I still have to I had to delve into more complicated stuff, and I was also trying to prove. There are a lot of ways to prove the binomial and multinomial theorem. I kind of want to prove it in my own way because I just like doing things my own way sometimes, just to explore a little bit. So I may do that later. I was thinking about it a couple months ago, but then that kind of fell off because I was distracted with other things, and but now I have more time in my hands, and I thought I'd look at that more. I guess I was writing a list on how I want to approach. Like I said, I want more structure when it comes to studying these fields, and so I kind of made for next week I'm probably going to practice more mathematical induction, even though I feel comfortable with it, but I want to make sure that I feel extremely comfortable with it. So I'm gonna what practice makes perfect, I guess would be the right way to say. Repetition, especially in mathematics. Yeah, it helps. And then I was going to look at some basic probability problems, because why not? Even though probability is kind of tied into combinatorics, because you have to understand like the denominator, and how the denominator you have to look at all possibilities within a domain, right? And that derives from combinatorics. There's a lot of combinatorics and probability, so it's good to understand combinatorics pretty well. That's not, yeah. Anyways, and then I decided to do that. Maybe I'll add like the pigeonhole principle. I've heard of the pigeonhole principle before. I've heard people say it, but I don't really know what it is. So I guess I'll add that for next week as well. And yeah, I'll look at that, and maybe I'll do a couple of videos on it, because why not, I guess. And then I'll go back to the binomial multinomial theorem for the week after next week, and generating functions, which is supposed to be like it's supposed to be pretty abstract. And I don't know exactly what generating functions are for. I think they're a way of generalizing combinations and whatnot, and like something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but it seems like the generating function seems to be some kind of power series from what I've seen. Let me see. I was looking, it's essentially a power series with, of course you have, it's a power series with a coefficient in front, and then you have to decipher these coefficients and whatnot. And yeah, the reason why it's not super. The thing is, the reason why it's a power series is the fact that when you look at different possibilities, you're looking at different events in the world, and you're basically looking at. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to say anything until I look into it more. I've seen it before, and I've seen it in. I actually unintentionally made a generating function when I was looking at the derivation of the derivative of x to the power of n. So they're using the limit definition. So we'll look at it. I'm going to look at it and see. I don't want to say anything yet, and I'm probably going to create an intuitional basis for it just to make it easier for myself. And yeah, I mean that's all I really have to say. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really doing much today. I'm probably going to go on a walk and cook some eggs, and I got some bagels with blueberry bagels and cream cheese. I like blueberry bagels and cream cheese. And yeah, I'm just going to chill and enjoy the weather. It's nice today, so. And I'm getting my blackboard soon, so that's nice. Maybe I'll make videos with the blackboard. I think it'll work out. This camera is not too bad, so maybe I'll just turn it against the wall and maybe do some videos. The thing is, like, when you're making formal videos, it's kind of, you actually have to do video editing. I feel like you have to. Maybe I won't. I don't know. You'll see how it goes. That's the thing, is like you have to like compare like how many times you're going to make a mistake while writing, and then you have to think about like your writing and then like the resolution of the video, and this camera is like, it's kind of okay, and then you have to like write bigger. It's a 4x3 board and whatnot, and I don't know. I'm considering. I mean, you had to weigh anyways, whatever. I think I'm overthinking it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.